really call for that?
We require a 10% bond upon signature of the contract itself. Actually, it was submitted. We require 10% when they submitted the actual bid.
That's a bid bond, right?
Right.
But what about a performance bond?
I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that and clarify that with Mr. Nowotnik.
Yeah, if you possibly might want to address that with Mr. Noto as well.
Okay.
And then obviously just want to confirm that this company, McNamee Construction, will be working under the direction of Ahneman Kirby.
Absolutely. We will be taking care of all the construction observations. We've done this in the past for the town of Rye.
Right.
We also submit at the end of construction certification that everything was done in compliance with our plans and specifications, or that all field modifications have been documented with the date, the times that we were on site, the weather, exactly what we saw, and who was on site at that time. And we will be submitting that again at the end of this construction process.
Perfect. And finally, my last question is just, Mr. Nardi, you're getting good communication with the Village of Mamaroneck?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Wonderful. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Nardi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Okay, the next three resolutions, as people in the town know, we basically vote every year to establish the homestead portion of the real estate taxes that is attributable to the residents of the town of Rye, and then the non-homestead ratios, which are attributed to the commercial enterprises in the town of Rye. So we've got three resolutions. Mr. Markowitz isn't here tonight, who usually introduces these. But the first is the homestead proportions for the village of Rye Brook, with the homestead-based participation of 74.24% and the non-homestead 25.75%. So basically that means that the residentials in Rye Brook are paying 74.24% of the taxes, and the commercials 25.75%. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes. Now for the village of Portchester, there's a larger commercial base, so the village of the residents are paying 61.55% for the homestead-based portion, and the non-homestead is 38.5%. Can I get a motion to approve those ratios?
So moved.
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes. And finally, for the Portchester School District, there's a slight variation. It's 61.25% for the residential or homestead-based proportion for residential, and 38.75% for the non-homestead. Can I get a motion to approve those ratios?
So moved.
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova. Carvin.
Mr. Carvin,
Yes.
Supervisor Carvin, sorry. Just for the record, I just want to make sure that we get some correspondence to Mitchell Markowitz. Every year, we go through this homestead-based proportion, and every year I ask, can you please provide me a historical to see how we've tracked over the past 10 years, whether or not the homestead-based proportion that we're approving is actually beneficial. So,
We'll do that. Mr. Nowotnik, would you mind sending him an email tomorrow and ask him to send that to the board members? And would you have them posted on our website as well, please? That's an important point.
Yeah.
We should have that. I don't think it's changed as much as we anticipated, but it's still important to have that.
my patients are wearing thin.
Okay, I guess Mr. Markowitz is presenting to the Village of Rye Brook tonight. Another assessment, maybe Mr. Noto, you want to...
Now, Resolution E, there are a couple of matters that are basically, for lack of a better term, trial-ready, and will be required to exchange appraisals with plaintiff's counsel. So, in this matter of Balley Fitness versus the Town of Rye and Post Road Realty, Mitch is recommending we retain Valuations Plus to perform the appraisal. This litigation appraisal.
Valuations is one of the companies.
Yes, they're one of the pre-approved.
Yeah. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make a motion that
Do we have any idea how much this is going to cost?
Well, we
No, it's
have a pre-approved fee
pre-approved, but we
schedule.
have a sense of the, right, so, but, which is an hourly rate, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't have it
Do
handy.
you have any
but,
sense of how many hours they're going to need?
I do not know, but.
Okay, could we just have Mr. Markowitz come back to us with that, a guesstimate? And the other thing is, it would be helpful to have, would you have Mr. Markowitz also send us what our evaluations are? Have they come up with any other valuations, or are they,
Well,
are using that same tactic that so infuriates the...
I don't know in this case if the particular, if the plaintiff is using the same tactic, your word, not mine, and for valuations for this litigation. I'll have to check.
Okay.
But
By the
clearly,
way,
it's gotten into the, it's at the point now where they're preparing for litigation, so.
where do we stand? This is the portion of the meeting where the supervisor goes crazy and talks about how the school children are, but where do we stand with our law? Do you know?
In fact, I spoke to Assemblyman Latimer last week, and it's his description of it. It is ready for committee to be addressed by the committee.
This is a joke. This is a joke.
As you know, you and I at another function had met with the chair of the committee. She was very receptive, and I reminded the Assemblyman that she was receptive, and if we need to make our pitch and meet with her and her staff, we're willing to do that. So now the legislature was out of session last week for the Passover Easter holiday. I believe they're coming back, if not this week.
Would you do me a favor? Would you send an email,
Sure.
a daily email to Mr. Latimer, and I want
And Senator Oppenheimer.
and Senator Oppenheimer. We've never had a problem with the state Senate. We've only had a problem with the Assembly. And I'd like a daily email update. I mean, this is, for the people at home, we've gone to the trouble of reval. So what happens on these certiorieries? Most of the commercial properties come in at 10% of value, which is a farce. So we end up in court. Now, we have no idea. If we get an evaluation wrong, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring in vision appraisal. We visited every commercial property. We're working very hard to get our equity valuations correct. Now, what happens is they still come in at 10% of value. Now, I see some people from the Chamber of Commerce, and we just did the commercial. Just so the people that are most prejudiced and most hurt by the scamming that takes place, by the egregious actions of those commercial properties that are only gaming the system, are the other commercial properties. Because as you see, the commercial properties are taking on 38.75% of the taxes in the Portchester School District. So they're paying, come what may, 38.75%. So if your neighbor scams the system, you're going to pay more. In fact, Mr. Nowotnik, would you set up a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce? I mean, they need to understand that they all complain about the fact that their taxes are too high, and it's the reason because 10% bad actors are forcing them to pay higher taxes. And I mean, I'm sorry, again, so this is the other portion where New York State is the worst run state in the nation. But it's insanity. I mean, Mr. Noto, help me understand this. Everybody's pushing for reval communities to communities do the revaluation. Didn't we get an email from Rye City? Isn't Rye City looking at reval? Would you please communicate they'd have to have their head examined to do a revaluation. They should run from reval as far as they can, because the state does everything in its power to undermine reval communities.
One quick question, Mr. Noto. Has Balley's sent their appraisal yet to us?
I don't know. I'm not handling the case. Jeff Binder is. I do not believe so. I think there's a date for an exchange of appraisals. And this matter, as you know, I mean, you don't know, there were two petitions filed, one from Balley's, which is a tenant, and then one with the owner of the property, which is Post Road Realty, which have now been consolidated into one. I believe Balley's is actually leaving the location, but a new health club is moving in, I'm told. But there's just a date at which they have to exchange. I don't know what that date is. And I'll check on the law.
I mean, we are in a horrific economy, and this costs our school children money every day. And so I want Mr. Latimer, if you would, on a daily basis, I want an email, and I want to know exactly how that's progressing. The reason being, we lost it last year. I mean, this is just insanity. I mean, what if we had something really urgent? I mean, this is urgent. This is material. This is costing our school children money, and there's nothing more important at the town of Rye than this. There's nothing more important.
With all due respect, Mr. Supervisor, we've spent countless hours regarding this bill. Not only did we hit a brick wall last year when we attempted this, it kicked back to us, and we had to go through this mechanism again to try to put this through. The council met in the wee hours of the morning because we were on a deadline at 7:30 in the morning, meeting with Mr. Latimer, full board, stressing to him, to bring to his constituents how important it is to have this legislation passed. So, how frustrated are we? I say the level's pretty high.
And Mr. Nowotnik and Mr. Noto, I want us, three of us, to present at every one of the school meetings and every one of the village meetings, and I want a resolution from every one of them pointing out the importance of this. So we've got 5 meetings to set up, and I want to meet with them, and I want to create pressure on the State Assembly, on Assemblyman Latimer, on State Senator Oppenheimer to get this passed. Because, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make it happen. So I would need you to set those meetings up. I want to go and present to the schools. I want them to understand. I've already talked to the Village of Rye Brook. They're all happy to vote a supporting resolution. Because ultimately, the town portion of the tax, as everybody knows, is less than 1%. 60% of the schools. So the ones that are really hurt by this are the schools.
Yeah.
And then next in line are the villages and then the county.
That being said, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution E to retain Valuations Plus for Balley's Fitness and Post Road Realty.
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Kirby.
Okay, yes. And then now we have the same.
Yeah, this is also a trial-ready matter, and Mitchell is recommending Ed Ferrarone of Lane Appraisals to do the appraisal in the matter of the town of Rye against Sawpit Realty and Steelman Service Center.
Yeah, and so just you everybody at home, the reason we're upset, those are your tax dollars paying for those appraisals. That shouldn't have to be paid for. So those are your tax dollars paying for these appraisals. They shouldn't have to be paid for. It's an absolute outrage.
Is this one matter, Mr. Noto, or two?
No, it's 2 different matters.
Do we have an address for Sawpit Realty?
Should be matters, Hope.
Resolution. I don't have one.
Do we have an address for Steelman Service Center?
We do. We just don't have it on the
We just
resolution.
don't have it with us. Okay. Hope, in the future, I think we've made this request before, when we have items like this, the resolutions, we need to include the address of the property so we can get a better understanding of what properties we're dealing with when it comes to these challenges. Okay? Obviously, Balley's was a softball for us because there's only one Balley's and we know it's a large property. But Sawpit Realty and Steelman Service Center, I do not know by name.
Sawpit Realty is 25 South Regent Street.
25 South Regent Street?
Right, that's where the doctor's offices and the restaurant.
Doctors and the restaurant on South Regent?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
And Steelman is on North Main Street.
Right here? Next door here?
Yeah, Steelman,
Okay.
right next door.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Need a motion.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Yes.
Carvin.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Noto, what are we being asked to do
The
here?
last item, the G, is a settlement that Mr. Markowitz resolved himself. This was without the benefit of, we did not need to retain outside counsel for this. 15 Doral Green, Drive West. It looks like it's a single-family unit, and it's a reduction of...
Say what?
I'm assuming it's Doral Greens.
What, you see it's a single family?
I thought it was only because of the ID number, but I could be wrong. It's only 1 year.
1 unit.
It is 1 year, yeah, I thought so, okay.
Was this residential or commercial?
This would be residential.
So why is it coming to the board?
Well, all of these have to come to the boards that are settled.
Are they with SCAR petitions they have to, or what level?
Well,
Yeah.
this is a LLC who brought this action, and I don't, I'm assuming that it requires your approval because he specifically drafted this resolution and said you had to approve it, so. This could have been a matter that he resolved outside of a, litigated matter.
Is there a problem if we don't adopt this resolution tonight?
Not for me. I mean, it's
Well, if we're unclear regarding the information, Mr. Supervisor and Councilman Gelfar, we can address this next month?
normally we go through the process is the supervisor would inquire, why did we make the reduction? Was there an issue with the assessment?
Everything we've asked for the last 3 years is violated tonight. Everything we've asked for the last 3 years is violated tonight. What I'd like to suggest, and so maybe can we, I hate to leave it another month. I mean, it seems relatively reasonable, but you're right. We don't have any background on it, so.
If I say haggled the difference out, probably say haggled out a settlement.
I presume that's what happened. I just don't know why, we looked awfully silly in front of the public approving something that we don't fully understand.
Very good. That being said, I'd like to just make a motion to take this off the agenda tonight and approve it next month.
All right, second.
You don't need a motion, just take it off.
Okay, take it off, table it, whatever.
All right.
Resolution H, as the board is aware, there was a vacancy in the assessment office, and it's a civil service position, and the administration is recommending Cheryl E. Kastuk.
Has anybody met her? Have you met her? Mr. Noto?
No, I have not met her.
Okay, has anybody on the board met her?
No.
I'm not personnel yet.
Okay,
but
I'm
Mr.
going
Nowotny
to
and Mr.
I'm going to table it.
No, Mr. Nowotny and Mr. Markowitz interviewed
Yeah,
several
okay.
people.
Who, anybody from the board interview her?
That's-
Did you meet her? Mr. Nowotny's not involved in the certiorari processes.
No, I was not asked to interview her.
Okay, there's one, yes, please.
The position is a real property appraiser position. It's subject to the civil service guidelines. We were provided with a list of 11 potential candidates that had taken the civil service exam. We canvassed that list, and Cheryl was the second highest scorer on the list.
Score of what?
Civil service exam.
This is on the real property exam. She had an
Service exam related to real estate?
yes, to a real estate property appraisal. So all of these people have to take this exam at the county level. The list is provided to us by the county, and we have an obligation to hire from said list. At that point, I can tell you that the top scorer had a job already and did not wish to leave that job, and we are then forced to move down to the next person on the list.
I tell you, I'm prepared to conditionally approve it tonight, but I want to interview the woman, or someone from the board, and I want the town attorney to interview the woman. And before we finalize it, I want the okay from either myself or someone from the board and the town attorney.
Well, then I would suggest you not vote tonight, because once you vote this resolution...
No, you vote conditionally. You say, subject, no, I want to vote, this is what I want to do. I want to vote conditionally. If we can, I can't see why we can't, say, provided that someone from the board approves this woman other than Mr. Markowitz, that we can modify the resolution. I would have thought we could say, she's approved subject to Supervisor Carvin meeting with her and confirming the appointment.
Well, just understand, when you do hire an individual, they are given a 1-year probationary period, which means they could be terminated for any reason within that 1-year period. So if you hired her...
I'm a little disappointed, and I know, Town Clerk Vespi, you feel my pain. We've worked very hard for the last 3 or 4 years to run this thing properly, and it's just unconscionable to me that all this stuff comes without any conversation before the meeting. So, we all look stupid tonight, and I just feel stupid. So I'd like to do it conditionally. I'm not prepared to hire somebody with an 18-person raw. No one from the town has talked to her. I'm sorry. I'm not going to hire somebody who's a full-time employee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So no one from the town board or the town accountant. And I'm happy Mr. Nowotnik's met with her and approves her. But Mr. Nowotnik is, I want somebody from the board or the town attorney involved with certiorari to meet with her. And so I'm happy to do it conditionally.
This person here, this is that they're talking about is the only real property appraiser?
No, there's one other, Charlie Saba, isn't it? Yeah, Charlie Saba.
But Charlie is the senior appraiser.
Well, I think they'll be, on the same level.
In essence, they carry the same title.
Right.
They carry the same title.
Although Charlie has been with us for almost 5 years now.
Right.
Okay.
Although the position needs to be filled, it sounds like this woman's very good, but I'm not comfortable, violating a procedure where no one from this board meets a full-time. But I want to do it conditionally because, I don't want to lose her. If she's the number 2, I don't want to lose her.
I think maybe you could put on record just put on record your objection to the fact that we're apparently required to hire someone without the opportunity of an elected official representing the people to meet with her. But we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we look like we're not complying with the civil service laws by saying that it's conditioned upon a condition that cannot be set. And of course, Mr. Noto has pointed out that we do retain the right of a 1-year probationary.
What does that mean? We can let her go anytime we want?
Mm-hmm.
So we can have her for 2 weeks and then let her go?
That could happen.
For a non-discriminatory purpose. Let's
Right.
get that on the record.
All right. Well, I want to meet her, I would have thought the better way to do it was the resolution conditional, but if you want to do it that way, I'll turn over to the town attorney, whatever you think makes the most sense from a legal perspective.
I think the resolution is appropriate and speaks for itself and should be adopted, and then at that point, if for any reason her performance doesn't measure up to your expectations, she could be terminated.
Okay. That's fine.
I move that Resolution H be accepted.
Second.
Gelfarb.
Aye.
Villanova.
Reluctantly, yes.
Carvin.
Even more reluctantly, yes.
Resolution I, we're going to pull from the agenda for tonight. There is a vacancy on the Board of Assessment Review for Rye Brook.
We're pulling from the agenda because of supervisor in a bad mood or no?
No. We need to explore some candidates. The Rye Brook Village Board met tonight. We have to talk to them.
Well, actually, on this issue, I'm happy to pull it from the agenda, but I just want to understand a couple of things. And Bishop, I don't know if you were in the meeting we had. This person is recommended by whom?
Well, it's recommended, it is a Rye Brook appointment, a Rye Brook individual. As under the IMA, if they don't recommend the reappointment of this individual, then we select an individual who happens to reside in the village of Rye Brook, and we appoint. So ultimately, you do appoint. The board in Rye Brook is, for lack of a better term, undecided on this individual, which is hardly a ringing endorsement.
Can we hear the name? I mean, if this
No.
person is currently sick.
Yes, he's currently on the board, yeah.
It's on the board.
So his term has expired.
Expired.
Has expired, huh? Yeah.
September 2010.
Yeah, expired.
Okay, so then we don't have to hear the name.
No.
That's fine.
So in any event, at this point, I think the board should explore a couple of candidates from Rye Brook. I would suggest you run them.
Is it our? That's
Yes,
what I'm
it's our obligation to find a person. And
well, maybe I don't know if we need a memo on the Board of Assessment Review. How many members are on the Board?
5.
Okay, and how many? Who nominates the?
Town board appoints all of them.
No, I'm sorry, but there's 3 community. My understanding is the the Village of Rye Brook recommends somebody, Portchester recommends somebody, Rye Neck recommends somebody, and then we have our own
Two.
Is that the way it works?
We have, I think it's, yeah.
Okay, so now the Rye, so my question, is this one of our two?
No, this is the Rye Brook one.
This is the Rye Brook appointment. It's an expired seat. You have the ability to leave it unfilled if you desire.
I'm just trying to, so the Village of Rye Brook then nominates this person, and we approve the appointment?
No, the procedure is that the town presents an appointee to the appropriate village, in the case of whether it's a Rye Brook or a Village of Portchester appointee. They have the ability to say yay or nay. If they decline that particular recommendation, it's our obligation to go back out there and find another person. They can decline that person as well. And at that particular point, we can then recommend to fill the seat, as I understand it, we can recommend to fill the seat without any further input from the village.
So we have, okay, so
We
then
have basically 3 shots to put somebody in the seat.
right, and so, but we're always the one proposing the candidate.
Right. We are the ones that have to bring the candidate to the floor.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're withdrawing that resolution tonight.
Yeah, we don't have a name, and we're going to explore some candidates.
Okay. Who's exploring the candidates? Who
You are. You, board, the board.
Joe
town
Carvin
board.
is, but when
Town board is going.
That's what I'm saying. But no, okay? So
Anybody can, Joe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I want to assign this task as a business matter to somebody. The Board of Assessment Review. I appreciate that the process has been made a nonsense by the commercial property scamming the town. However, we should search for really great, qualified people for the Board of Assessment Review. So I want to know, does anybody want to...
We were recommending Councilman Gelfarb and Councilman Villanova. I've spoken to Councilman
As the people to find this person?
Yeah, as
Okay.
2 individuals on your board
Okay.
who will
Terrific.
find
Right.
a couple of qualified people from Rye Brook and present them.
So would you guys...
One fast question. Does the Board of Assessment Review also handle commercial
Yes.
challenges?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Every
yes.
application for reduction goes to them, commercial and residential.
And what are we paying, $2,000, $2,500?
$2,500 a year.
$500. And it's not a bad... So anyway, so if you could come up with, and then, of course, Deputy Supervisor Villanova as well, but that would be great, so we can come up with some recommendations. That's terrific.
I've already spoken to Councilman Villanova.
Wonderful. Okay, good. The town assessor's not here. He's probably just as happy he's not here right now. I don't see Mr. Burns. He's on vacation. I didn't think we allowed that anymore. The Honorable Mr. Mecca.
Did we do public comment?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Honorable Supervisor Carvin, members of the Town Council, just a few minutes of your time. In your packet, I did leave a sample of one of our brand-new reports from our new system.
Oh, great. Oh, wonderful.
It's your particular property.
I better take a hard look at this one.
It's a history of your property for the last 5 years' taxes, which is what we now have electronically on file by law, is what we're supposed to have. As you see, it's quite informative, and it's quite presentable. This is phase number 1. We will soon, once we finish collections, we will go into generated reports for the board that you have been interested in looking for. Do you have it, Mr. Carvin? Do you have yours?
Do you have it?
No?
Oh, okay.
Give you an idea.
You have yours, Mr. Carvin?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Glad to see I'm paying my taxes on time finally.
And secondly, I know time run late, but the county tax is due Saturday, the 30th. People can come in on Monday because it's a weekend, but you must come in on Monday. Other than that, it must be postmarked by April 30th. So, okay, any questions?
Yeah, this new system, this new tax system, this is a report that's generated internally?
Yes, this is our enterprise system. This is the new thing that we've been,
Just the new updated software?
yes, updated KBS.
And now, can we, Mr. Norano, we talked about this, in terms of the, I thought we were going to have Mr. Burns was going to pull together a aging of the receivables, and with this new system, we were going to get...
Excuse me, that's our next phase. Once we get up by the collection, because the county collection right now is heavy,